In this lesson, I'll show you how to solve quadratic equations by completing the square. I've already shown you how to solve a quadratic by factoring, but sometimes it can't be factored using the techniques that you've learned. So this is why we complete the square. The steps to doing this are shown right here, and you can refer back to them as we do this question. Let's begin with example 1. Notice that in our quadratic, the ax squared term has a number at the front 3. We want to make that a 1. So what I'll do is I'll factor out a 3 from the first two terms only. In fact, 3 can be common factored. So I'll factor out a 3, and I'm left with x squared minus 6x plus 19 is equal to 0. Next, I'll focus in on this part and complete the square there. The way you complete the square is you identify your b term. The b term is the second term, which in our case is minus 6x. We'll take the coefficient negative 6, and we divide it by 2. You always do this. Dividing by 2 gives you negative 3, and then we square this part, making that equal to 9. So I'll take 9, and I'll add it within these parentheses and also subtract it. That way the expression doesn't change. If that's confusing, here's what I mean. So everything stays the way it is, except for this part. So I'll take the positive 9 and subtract 9 plus 19 is equal to 0. The next thing that I want to do is take out this minus 9 outside of these parentheses. But in order to take it out, you need to multiply it by 3 first, because you can't simply remove it outside the parentheses if there's a factor at the front. So 3 times negative 9 is negative 27. I'll write down 3 bracket x squared minus 6x plus 9. We've officially removed the negative 9, and it became negative 27. We have plus 19 minus 27 is equal to 0. You can go ahead and simplify this part, add them together, and what we have right here within these parentheses is a perfect square trinomial. Essentially, we can factor this using the methods we've learned in the past. What two numbers multiply to 9 and add to negative 9? I'm thinking the numbers negative 3 and negative 3. So we can rewrite this as x minus 3 raised to the power of 2. And over here, 19 minus 27 is minus 8 is equal to 0. If you're confused about this part, just try to factor this by trial and error. If you do, two numbers that multiply to positive 9 and add to negative 6, as I mentioned, is negative 3. So you would have x minus 3, combining these two together is x minus 3 squared. This is the reason why we write this instead. Or you could have simply looked at this part and you could have used negative 3 without having to think about it. Anyway, now it's time to solve. So we have 3 bracket x minus 3 squared minus 8 is equal to 0. Keep in mind that not all quadratics can be solved. At most, you'll have 2 solutions, and the lowest is 0 roots, or no solutions. You may also have 1. If you don't have any solutions, don't panic. That just means that it doesn't cross the x-axis. So let's see what happens here. I'll move this 8 over, this negative 8, and I end up with positive 8 on the right side. And then the next step will be to divide both sides by 3. This gets rid of this factor 3. And I have x minus 3 raised to the power of 2 is equal to 8 over 3. I'll square root both sides to get rid of this square, this power of 2. I have x minus 3 is equal to, now whenever you square root something, you have a positive and negative version. So just write down plus minus the square root of 8 over 3. Then take that 3 over, gets plus 3. And now we have 2 roots. Given that 8 over 3 isn't negative, if this part were negative, that's called the radicand, then you would have no solutions. It's positive here, so no worries. Okay, let's use our calculator. The square root of 8 over 3, remember that's the positive version, plus 3, that's our first root, 4.63. 4.63. Let's do this again for the negative version. So I'll write down negative square root of 8 over 3 plus 3. My calculator gives me 1.367. So 1.37 if we round up. So my two solutions are x is equal to this number and x is equal to 1.37. And there you have it. That is how to solve quadratic equations by completing the square. If you would like the solution for question 2, leave a comment below. We've already made the video. All we have to do is upload it. Leave us a comment below and we'll gladly do that for you. Hope to hear from you soon.